Welcome back. You're watching NTV Tonight. President William Ruto marked 1,000 days in office earlier this week in a presidency defined by bold promises and unexpected alliances. From parting ways with his first deputy, Rigathi Gachagua, to forging a broad-based government with former opposition chief Raila Odinga, the Ruto era has been anything but ordinary. But beneath this surface, economic anxiety is mounting. Cabinet turbulence continues, and 2027 is no longer a distant conversation. NTV Political Affairs reporter David Mudhoka breaks it down in today's special segment of Politics and Power.
On our first day, we will free the DCI. We will free the KRA from state capture. I can account for every day of the 1,000 days. Shida yetu ni ujinga kweli? Si shida yetu ni ajira?
Nearly 3 years ago, William Ruto entered State House on the back of a populist bottom-up wave, promising to upend the status quo and champion the hustler's voice.
Mnasema tuanze bottom, alafu tuende up. Bottom, bottom.
But as his presidency hits the 1,000-day mark, the political script has flipped in ways few predicted. Once his fiercest critic, Raila Odinga is now Ruto's foremost ally, a development cemented after Raila's failed bid for the African Union Commission chair. In a sweeping move, the two have now forged what's been called a broad-based government, reshaping the political center and sidelining traditional party lines.
In a time of significant changes and challenges to our nation, it is not enough to merely grandstand or stand aside and criticize, easy as those may be. They say, any madman can kick down a barn, but it takes a good carpenter to build one.
And I must congratulate the Honorable Raila Odinga and the ODM party for their boldness and courage to take the position for Kenya and for the people of Kenya.
It was a political miss for the country and for the Gen Zs because the kind of change that was anticipated did not take place. The things that they were talking about, corruption, impunity, opulence, they have continued.
So if you ask a Kenyan youth today, of which I am part of that bracket, has anything significant changed? No. For the same reason the Kenyan youth took to the streets last year, these people are still behaving like it's business as usual.
But the handshake at the top came after a messy political divorce below. Ruto's fallout with his first deputy, Rigathi Gachagua, exploded into full view at the end of last year, culminating in Gachagua's impeachment by Parliament and the appointment of a new deputy president, marking the most significant internal rupture of Ruto's first term.
I, Kithure Kindiki.
I didn't know President William Ruto can be that vicious. I am shocked by how vicious a man I helped to be president, a man that I believed in, a man that was persecuted when supporting him, could be so vicious against me when I'm literally fighting for my life in hospital.
I would say, without lying to you, that I knew they may not work together, but I did not know that they would be impeached. But I knew it would be very difficult for them to work through the 5 years because these are two leaders with similar characters. So sometimes it's not very easy when you have someone who is authoritative or authoritarian in leadership and then you have a similar character working together.
His cabinet, too, has not been spared. Several ministries have come under pressure over performance, public spending, and alleged mismanagement.
Many of you, the people I speak to, don't even
know what is going on in your ministries or departments. You have very scanty information. The moment I know more than you in your ministry, then you must begin to understand that something is very wrong.
I, Hassan Ali Joho,
James Opio Wandai,
Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya,
John Badingongo, being appointed a cabinet secretary of Kenya.
A major reshuffle last year against the backdrop of Gen Z pressure saw underperforming CSs shone the door, but some argue that the unrest may have provided Ruto the perfect excuse to kick out the ministers he did not want.
How do you run a ministry or a department or a parastatal if you have no information? That is the highest level of incompetence.
He has got people whom he brought on board in UDA and in the Kenya Kwanza alliance from the former ANC, Ford Kenya, PA, Chap Chap and other formations. But they are very weak. Let us agree that they are extremely weak. We don't even know their names. Some of them we tend to forget who they even are. Even when you look at the cabinet, you need to be a news person to even remember.
Allies of Raila and retired President Uhuru Kenyatta have since filled most of the vacated CS positions.
Getting people, professionals, in as much as they're politicians, so helps him as a double-edged sword in the sense that these are people who can manage politics and also manage professionally the ministries that they've been given.
Was it a necessity? Yes, he needed to reshuffle that cabinet. The only problem is we did not see the application of his wisdom in that reshuffle, because you're taking out incompetent people, you're bringing us people who you're telling us are actually good for this job, but over time, as we're observing them, again, we're seeing stark hallmarks of incompetence.
But while politics realign at the top, frustration is boiling below. A weak shilling, rise in taxes, and a ballooning cost of living have stretched household budgets and public patience. Youth unrest, which shot to global prominence in 2024, is on the rise, and street protests are once again part of the political landscape. Yet amid the economic turbulence, Ruto's political machine is running smoothly.
Mko ready na chapa? Hey, mnapenda pesa? Yaani 1,100 inafanya na hatujatoa yenu.
State-funded empowerment programs, often in the form of hard cash, handed out at churches and rallies, are back in full swing, sparking renewed concerns about using public platforms for early campaigning.
I don't believe that the deputy president is supposed to go giving bicycles or launching a toilet, you know, or such like things for us to know that the government is working. We have different line ministries.
It's voter treatment. The campaign has begun. Make no mistake.
Remember, these are children from a certain political regime. We are seeing a lot of career politicians in this particular regime who we would call children of Kanu. They are reading from that playbook that their teacher then was deploying.
With Raila Odinga now firmly inside the broad-based government project, Kenya's opposition is undergoing a dramatic reset. Ironically, the biggest jolt to the opposition has come from within government's own ranks. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, once Ruto's number 2, has reinvented himself as a fierce government critic. His rallies have ignited political passions, especially in the Mount Kenya region. The one-term slogan is also gaining steam in other political bases.
Kazi hai, makazi ni hai, makazi ni yangu mutatunga mkono na huyu kiongozi.
President Ruto is living in the past. He's trapped in a time warp. A time warp in the sense that there were times when the president sacked you or caused you to lose office. You went away and drifted into oblivion, licking your wounds quietly.
He won't say it, but I am willing to bet he regrets it.
Why would the president regret? And the same president keeps saying that, I mean, now I'm at peace.
Also re-entering the fray is former Interior CS Fred Matiang'i. After a quiet stint at the World Bank, Matiang'i resigned last week, signaling a likely bid to shape a new opposition front, especially among technocratic and middle-class bases.
Safari hakuna kuiba ni kushinda Ruto aende one term.
Meanwhile, Kalonzo Musyoka is back to familiar ground, rejuvenating his presence in Ukambani and making fresh inroads along the coast.
You are the real champions for change.
With Raila gone and Azimio effectively dismantled, Kalonzo is positioning himself as the centerpiece of a new resistance, though questions linger about his national reach.
If they will be able to stay together, and if they will be able to persuade and take along a very critical constituency that is the youthful voting constituency, then they will manage.
Are they a formidable force? Absolutely. But like I had asked earlier, while they are a formidable force politically, are they what is good for the country?
Together, these figures, once sidelined or dismissed, are forming an emerging bloc of defiance. It's still early, but the opposition's new faces, now referred to as the Four Cousins, may be one defined not by a single name, but a coalition of old warriors garnering for a political renaissance.
President William Ruto's first 1,000 days have been a political roller coaster. And as the next 1,000 begin, the stakes are even higher. David Muzoka, NTV, Nairobi.
On our first day, we will free the DCI. We will free the KRA from state capture.
I can account for every